tired of screwing up, tired of going down, tired of myself, tired of this town.
Eminent Waste of Time, episode 12. I'm Doug.
And I'm Chad.
And we are back once again. We were just debating what episode it was. I guess it's a good sign when you get to the point where you're not entirely sure how many you've done.
Yeah.
I mean, if you've only done 3, then it's kind of easy to find your spot.
Where are we? Who am I? No, I don't think it's so much that we didn't know. I mean, we didn't know what episode, but it's not so much like it's become this thing that we just do. I know for me, and you were talking about it too, it's just been a long week already. I mean,
I don't even know what I did yesterday, much less recorded last week.
Yeah.
It's been one of those weeks for sure.
Yeah, same here. I mean, tis a season to run around like a chicken with your head cut off, and I was
going to say, I don't know about you, but I'm really having trouble processing that Christmas is right around the corner. Like, it's getting colder, and it's what, 6:20 right now, and it is pitch black outside.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm cognizant of the fact that it's winter, but somehow between moving down here and the house and doing Eminent Performance and everything else that's going on, I've totally lost track of the holiday season.
My wife calls me a Scrooge, like, all the time. I really don't like Christmas.
Really?
I don't.
You're not a Christmas person?
No. I
surprisingly, I never knew that about you.
No, I hate the commercialism of all of it. I hate Christmas music. There are like a handful of songs, and I'm like, okay, that's a good song. None of them are like, oh, I like that song. I'll actively search it out and listen to it. I just don't like Christmas.
It's part of your whole dead inside persona.
Pretty much. Like, my wife, her family has this tradition where on Christmas Eve, they eat a breakfast meal at midnight. I'm like, that's the stupidest thing ever. For like the last 5 years, I've refused to go. I'm like, I don't care if you go. I'm not going. And
I would rather just sleep.
Right. And so, like, when my kids were little, this was a major, like, wrench in the whole works of everything, because
like 4 or 5 year old at midnight, forget that noise.
like 2 years old or 3 years
no.
old, and it's like, oh, they've gone to bed at 8, let's wake them up to go feed them a meal at midnight, and and then they're awake until 1 or 2, and then it's Christmas the next morning, so they're excited and they're waking up at like 5 or 6. It's just a horrible idea.
And I don't know about your kids, but my daughter, we actually had to stop putting her down for naps at about 2:30 because she'd want to go to bed at like 3 in the afternoon and sleep till 7 and then be up till midnight. And
Yeah.
if we woke her up at like, say, 4:30 or 5, a reasonable time, she was the grumpiest, most miserable person on the planet to be around. So I finally told Jenny, I'm like, no more naps. We put her to bed at 8 and she sleeps all night. Like, we're done. So I don't know if your kids are the same way, but I can't fathom waking her up. There's no way.
No.
To go eat a meal that could be done at 8 in the morning.
Yeah. So we do that at midnight, or they do. I don't do it anymore. They talk about me, I'm sure, and wonder why I'm not there and whatever. And then the next morning we meet at her grandma's house to all have breakfast again. Like 4 hours after we all just ate at her parents' house.
Yeah. I mean, there's family traditions and stuff that are good, but
That's not one of them.
I'm with you overall. The kind of the commercial aspect and the craziness surrounding it, and trying to get to everybody's family's houses to do everything with everyone. It's tiresome. And I don't want to say I'm a little worried about this year, but the fact that we're out of towners now and we have to get around and see everybody and do everything before we leave town, it's going to be.
Don't go.
Just don't special.
Go. Just don't go.
I'll just hide here.
Fine, you can come over to my house. You can bah humbug it with me.
Dude, we can play Xbox all day for like the first time in years.
Yeah. So
I don't know if I know how to turn mine on.
Yeah. I'll add to my wife's family's Christmas nuttiness. Then they all, like, her aunts and uncles and all her cousins on her mom's side, they all get together, and it's like 75 people, and they all try and cram into the smallest house that anyone has, which is my wife's grandma's house, which is like 1,500 square feet.
Oh, well, that sounds like fun.
No, it is not, and I don't
Sign
go to
me
that
up.
either. No. They all think I'm a horrible person because I don't want to do it. And they're like, oh, it's family. I'm like, I don't like y'all that much.
There are so many other reasons you're a horrible person.
I know.
Well, we need to start the show off on a very serious, very important note. Chad was completely wrong about the origin of golf, and I get a full imaginary internet point instead of half a point or whatever you tried to give me.
I gave you half a point for it because I listened to the podcast.
No, you were wrong.
I know. I'm saying I did give you a half a point for it.
So
I will admit that I was wrong. Now, I'm also going to blame it on the internet because the internet lied to me.
Well, the Oracle of All Knowledge Wikipedia supports my theory. Well, it wasn't theory. The fact that it came from a old Scottish word "goff," which means to strike at, or I guess the noun version is a club. So there's the golf part of it. And another website that's a Scottish history website specifically said there's an internet rumor out there that golf stands for gentlemen only, ladies forbidden, and that is clearly wrong. Like they were very italics and underlines and all sorts of stuff.
They were yelling on the interwebs.
And I am right.
Fine, you get your full point. Robert Higbee also messaged me to say that I was wrong, and I am fine with that. Like I said, the internet said it was true. I don't care. Whatever.
I gotta be honest, if I would have just come up with that off the top of my head, like not known it, just made that up, it would have been even more impressive. But
yeah, but you didn't.
But I didn't. So I knew it though. That's the important part.
So what did that give you? Like 3 whole imaginary internet points?
3 or 4. I did better that time, I thought.
You got the octopus one right. You got the golf one right. I don't remember the other ones.
Human bones in the body.
Yeah. You definitely didn't get the blood one right. You were
I
way
still
off
laugh
on that.
That poor person.
Yeah, no.
Is bloated.
That was wrong. These people probably have no idea what we're talking about.
I got some other one right too. Well, if you didn't listen to episode 11, go back and listen to that one first, and then this one will make more sense. If you're just finding us on the interweb and thought you'd start at the top, that was probably a really poor decision. And if you start at the bottom, it's probably an equally poor position. But welcome, nonetheless. We're glad you found us.
We really are here to talk about UTVs and off-roading and racing and stuff. We have
at
not
some
said
point,
a word about that.
Hey, we're like 8 minutes in.
Yay.
Might be a record for us, but
No.
we did tell people there's an entertainment value to this too.
You're assuming we're entertaining.
I'm entertaining me. I sometimes laugh when I listen to the replays of the podcast.
I do too.
I'm the one who said it, which is really sad.
Yeah, I thought about that, and I was telling Doug, and I told my wife that too, and she just looked at me like I was even nuttier than she normally looks at me like. And I said, I'll listen to the podcast, and I'm driving down the road, and I realize I'm laughing at my own statements and jokes. That's sad.
No, it's a testament to the high quality of programming that these people are receiving for free, I might add.
We can say
on a
that.
weekly basis.
Yeah, we can say that. So, well, welcome back, those of you that have been here before, and those of you that have not been here before.
And we do have a new camera again. And so far, it looks like it is recording, and you might notice the video quality is better. And
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, high def, everything. It's the great equalizer.
Well, yeah. Did you hear the thing? Oh, it's been 10 years ago, probably, that news anchors were upset at high def in TV because it was showing all their imperfections.
Oh yeah.
They were genuinely mad, and they wanted to go back to standard definition. I want it back.
I've seen some of those news anchors. I wanted to go back to standard def.
Yeah, there's some of the women that look like they put makeup on with a trowel.
And some of the guys, like, they had so much makeup on that, I've got lines in my forehead. I've had them since I was 18. I guess I'm a brow furrower, but these guys had them as well, and they had so much makeup on, but now you could see there's like a fault line where the makeup had actually made it worse.
Yeah.
So we've got a new camera. We're trying to steadily improve the setup in it. I'm looking at the video right now and realize we're kind of like Wilson from Home Improvement.
Yeah. For you guys who are old enough to remember that show or watch TV.
Maybe we need to invest in less directional microphones and have them kind of off to the side a little bit. I guess it's just more face. Maybe that doesn't help our cause any.
No, we may be better.
Probably not.
I'll talk like this.
So related to actual stuff that we probably should be talking about now, like
rambling.
9 minutes in, we went to PRI last week, and I guess my first impression was the show, it was big, but somehow not as big as I thought it would be in my head.
I completely agree. I was
Like
expecting,
we ran through it. We did a quick run through because we were worried about not having time to get through the whole show, and we were through it by lunchtime.
Yeah. So we get there, and Doug and I, we're both pretty early risers, but we get there before it opens, because we're thinking, both of us, I'm sure, at least me, and from what Doug said, yes, he agreed, but that it's just going to be massive. And it was big, but
it's a 3-day show. We're not going to get through it all in one day.
right. That was my thought also. So we start off, and I told Doug, I was like, okay, well, we really want to find suppliers for some of the parts that we need. So let's skip like every other aisle, and we'll look back on the aisle that we skipped and see what's in those booths. And if we see something, then we can go to it so that we can make sure we get through everything. And like Doug said, we were through in half a day, and I'm like, we've made it through everything? This is it?
And so we ended up going back through, and we were able to talk to a few suppliers more in depth. So really, it was kind of the right approach, because we got to see pretty much everything there was to see, and then we knew where we needed to head back and spend a little more time, and we actually had the time to do that. So we've got some suppliers that we are checking out that may work out for us to get parts at a more reasonable cost, and possibly save some of the shopping around where we're going to multiple different suppliers for things. Maybe we can get everything in kind of a one-stop shop, or worst case scenario, maybe 2 different main suppliers we use. So from that perspective, it was good. And it was interesting to see, I guess, the diversity of products that are out there. I mean, most of the show is not centered around off-roading. I mean, we did post some pictures. There were UTVs, there were some off-road related things, but most of it is giant decked out engine blocks and shiny cylinder heads, and
A lot of dirt track racing, like oval racing, that I was really surprised there was that much of it there.
Yeah, there was a ton.
I don't know, my thing, there's a lot of repetitive stuff.
But I guess that was the interesting part for me, is I thought you're going to have certain manufacturers that make this type of cylinder head or do this or do that. And then you get there and you realize there's tons and tons and tons of people all making roughly the same part.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of wondering how you sort through all that and figure out which one you really want to use. I guess it comes down to quality and price, but you got a ton of options out there in the market now on so many different parts.
Yeah.
And that wasn't really everybody there either. I mean, that's a big show. I'm sure it represents a good chunk of the market. But think about how many other things are out there that we didn't even see that, again, are just duplicates of the same.
Right.
I guess
the smaller guys, like the smaller shops that actually make good quality products, and I'm not saying the bigger guys don't, but the smaller guys, they probably don't want to pony up the money for one of those booths because they're not cheap.
No, we ran into one of those, actually.
Yeah.
We sat down with 2 very nice gentlemen from Louisiana who they basically own a shop that does porting and polishing of cylinder heads. They do a few other things, but that's kind of their primary thing that they sell. And it's a smaller operation, but he's bought some nice equipment. He said, he's got a 5-axis CNC machine that he can go in there and, you've got the cylinder head. He can duplicate and basically guarantee you numbers because it's not hand done. It's all programmed by him and, vetted, and he's done airflow analysis and all that. You could tell the guy put a lot of work into it. It wasn't just, hey, I took some material out, it should be better. He'd done some science behind it.
I had a die grinder and I ran at your heads for a little bit.
Yeah. I mean,
No,
he showed
it
us
was
some,
not that. He did good work, you could tell.
Yeah, he even showed us some videos of how he had done airflow analysis, and the stuff he was doing had actually been adopted by larger, I mean like GM and Ford.
Yeah.
Doing airflow analysis and finding out that they were scavenging exhaust out of their manifold back into the next cylinder down the line and that kind of stuff. And so, very sharp guy, but a small business. And he did not have a booth that year because he said it just wasn't worth the money to try and stand out in the crowd. He's like, there's a bunch of other people here doing the same thing that probably have a better display. I can't stand out. I'm not spending the money.
Yeah. And he did complain a little bit about the hidden costs. He didn't like that. The booth was X price, and then they came around and said, well, you're going to have to pay your electric bill. And there is a few $100 bill here.
There's a couple $100 to pay for the lights over his head.
Yeah. And then there was just this, it's a few $100 for this and few $100 for that. So he wasn't thrilled. But nothing against a PRI show from me on that.
No, I mean it is what it is, and a lot of these places, you know what? If they spent $7,000 or $8,000, it was a drop in the bucket for them, and it was good advertisement.
Yep. Now Chevy had a massive booth there.
Yes, they did. They had a real presence.
Doug was hating on Chevy, and Robert Higbee left us a comment, and he's a Chevy guy, so you stirred a hornet's nest there.
Robert, it's okay. We can all be wrong. It's allowed.
No, you leave Robert alone.
But it was really interesting, like I said, to see that. And I guess the thing I took away from it is I sometimes feel like as we're starting up Eminent Performance that, okay, we're looking at making products for some underserved utility models and other UTVs, and we might even get to ATVs because we're around them a lot racing. But I kind of thought, man, the market's so crowded. There's so many people doing this stuff already. Is there really room for us? I guess my takeaway from the show is yes, there is room. If you're making a solid product, there is room for you in the market.
Yeah. The UTV market is obviously smaller than the overall car market, but
it's growing at a really rapid clip, though.
I think we're getting in at a good time. So,
and it kind of made me think, too, we were talking about the Traxxas branded machines. They're going to be hitting the market here in the U.S. at some point, I would assume.
Yep. They're planning on releasing.
We jump in on that. I mean, that's a place that we're going to be making parts for the CF Moto. I mean, there may be a lot of interchangeability there, even though they're doing some different engineering. Again, we can look at getting in on kind of the ground floor of that as well and grow with them. We don't need to be, the size of General Motors overnight, but there's room in the market, which was encouraging to me. I guess that was the big takeaway.
Yeah. Now, one of the other things that I saw, and maybe this is why we got in, but I don't think their screening process is quite as thorough as they made it out to be.
I know the guy you're talking about.
Now, this is a different one, but we'll get to that fellow. So, I'm walking around there, and there are some true mouth breathers that are roaming about this show floor. I mean, they got magazines everywhere and things, and there are people just laden down with books and magazines and catalogs. And I'm looking at him like, this guy doesn't know how to read. You can tell that. And he's just carrying everything. And he's one of those people who, I'm taking it because it's free, even if I'll never use it. And I'm sitting there, nope, don't need that. There was just some real fine pieces of work there.
Well, you could get in as a buyer, which is what we got in as, probably pretty easily. Like, I mean, if you've got a one-stall beat-up garage on the corner of your three-horse town, you can probably get in. I mean, I don't think it's super restricted. They just want to make sure the general populace isn't coming in off the street and roaming through the show, which I understand. They're trying to stay focused to a market, and that building was pretty crowded with people who were supposed to be there. I can't imagine if you just flung the doors open.
Yeah. So let's go through and mentally in your mind walk through what we saw there and give me your top 3 favorite things that you saw.
Top 3 favorite things. Well, one of them was a general area. I really liked the whole area that was dedicated to CNC machines and horizontal machines and welding and all that kind of stuff. I mean, they had a really, really strong presence there. So you got to see a lot of what's available on the market for the kind of stuff that we hope to be doing down the road. And I thought the displays were interesting. We kind of talked about the difference between Lincoln and Miller were both there.
Yeah.
Miller's display was very... not that Lincoln's wasn't professional, but it was very kind of buttoned down, and here's our equipment. You can come look at it. If you want to see a weld, we'll lay a bead for you and show you how it's done. Where Lincoln was like, come over here and see this thing. It was a little more personal. Yeah, it was more interactive, I guess.
They had little welding stations set up with 3 different machines, I think. One at each.
And one of them was the one we're using, actually.
Yeah, it was the exact one. But... they would, have one of the Lincoln guys come around there, and the machines are set up. I mean, it didn't really take any real knowledge to use. You weren't setting them up,
Right.
They were known thicknesses of metal, and they had already dialed them into where they were running nice beads on everything. But they let you, as the person walking the showroom floor, you could come around and you could lay a bead down to see if the welder was what you really wanted. Now, I'm sure the Lincoln guy loved me because we walk up and he's, talking to this guy who's getting ready to buy the exact same machine that I have. And the guy's like, well, what's it like? And I'm standing behind him just kind of watching, and I pipe up right in the middle of the guy's conversation. I go, I have that exact same machine sitting in my shop. Said, it's an amazing machine.
Yeah, the Lincoln guy actually said, he's like, I love guys like you.
Yep.
You make my job easy.
Well, I mean, I'm going to be honest.
Yeah.
I really do like my Lincoln. It's the 210 MP, the multi-process welder. Man, it really does good. It's not the biggest, baddest thing on the block. I'm not pretending that it is. There are more expensive machines out there. But if you're looking to MIG and TIG and stick weld, and you just need a machine that will do it all, and it does it really well, you're hard-pressed to find a machine that's as good for the price.
And it even comes with very useful presets that will get you in the ballpark. You may want a little more heat. You may want a little less feed, but it'll get you in the ballpark for the type of material you're welding right out of the box.
Yep.
So if you're just learning it, then you want to learn all three. I mean, you'd be hard-pressed to find a better machine out there, I think.
Yeah, no, I really do like it. I think it'll serve us well for a lot of years. Now,
So
we get into something big, big manufacturing with lots of people. Yeah, it's just not going to cut it. But for fabrication and your normal stuff you're going to use, it's a great machine.
And a lot of that just comes down to duty cycle. I mean, you just need a bigger machine so you're not having to take a break every, 20 minutes and let it sit for an hour.
Yeah.
So I liked that. That whole area. I did like being able to see Blasphemy up close, and Mike Finnegan was actually there. I just couldn't stomach the whole thought of standing in line because he was only there for an hour.
Yeah.
And the line was better than an hour long because people are going to want to talk. Nobody's there to just get an autograph and run.
Yeah.
They want to talk to him, and he's a really personable guy. But I was really impressed as I was walking by. I was actually wearing a Roadkill shirt. He saw me walking by. I just want to get a picture of him, so I'm holding my phone up, and he stopped talking for a second and waved at me, and then went back to the guy he was with.
Yeah.
He just seems like a really personable, nice guy. He didn't have to do that.
Does. Yeah, and I made that comment to Doug when I saw him. Like, he just seems like that genuine type of guy who
is almost dumbfounded by the fact that he's famous.
Right. And if you listen to any of his comments, he really is kind of dumbfounded by the fame.
Yeah.
Now, to Blasphemy, I did like some of the things that they did. Mike Finnegan, if you are listening to this, buddy, you need to find a better body, man. Dead serious.
No, I just think he doesn't care enough to have it perfect. That's not the point.
Oh, I'm not saying you need to have it perfect. When it just rolled out and either it's pop Bondo in the hood or they didn't dolly the dents down.
Yeah, there was some stuff.
Either way, it's severely not right.
Now, is the front clip on that still fiberglass, or did he change it? Because I think the whole front end was one-piece fiberglass.
I believe it's still fiberglass.
Yeah.
And if it's fiberglass, then it's either pop fiberglass that's gone bad or Bondo that they put over and it popped. But, man, the body just wasn't good. And it's flat black. I mean, it hides the most that anything will ever hide. It's flat. Or satin. It might be satin, but it's flat or satin black. Yeah, it just, the bodywork wasn't good. It was wavy down the sides, and sorry, Finnegan, if you're listening, buddy, but you're talking to a body man who did it for, 15 years, and you've heard Doug comment before, like, we'll go to a Meekum or something like that.
He'll just be shredding cars,
and I can sit there, and it's what I've trained my mind to look for, because if you're going to do good body work, and I've done show cars and stuff like that before, but if you're going to do good things, you better have an eye to pick out the problems, or you're going to put out crap work.
Yeah.
And honestly, I will admit, I have to hold my tongue around a lot of people. Like, we'll go to local, county fair car shows and stuff. I got to hold my tongue because somebody will be like, oh, I did all the body work myself. And, my brain's sitting there saying, yeah, you can tell.
Really? No kidding.
So it's just a way, when your eye picks it up, plumbers pick out shoddy plumbing, electricians pick out crap electrical wiring, old body men pick out crap body work. And
yeah, like I said, for him, it's a driver's car for him. He doesn't really care, which is, I mean, because he's even made comments about the headers on it, and the side pipes look like junk.
Right.
I think his comment was they look like Ray Charles welded them with his feet. That's how he's described them. So obviously it's not the top priority. But
And
yeah,
I get that.
I
but
do see it.
For a car that's that famous,
Yeah.
at least make it a 20-footer. I mean, I wasn't right up on it. I was 10 feet away, and I'm like, holy cow, look at that thing.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, stop hating on him. We want him on the show.
I know. He can come on and yell at me. I'm good with that, but whatever.
Okay, thing number 3. I really enjoyed talking to those guys at lunch, but that really wasn't part of the show. It's just talking to guys. I liked emptying everybody of every sticker I could find.
For those of you that have not seen the post on TGM Off-Road, you all know that Rob lost his beloved beer fridge in the Houston floods.
And a lot of stickers in the process.
So we were, a couple hours into the show?
Yeah, it was a couple hours into the first pass, and then after lunch, when we realized we had a bunch of time, we really kicked it into high gear. We went through every row after lunch,
We
just
went
grabbing
through every
stickers
row,
like
and
mad.
we were grabbing every sticker we could get our grubby little paws on.
We literally, I mean, I stuffed a medium-sized flat rate box. I mean, I was measuring the amount of stickers in pounds.
Yeah.
Literally pounds.
So we got Rob all the stickers we could possibly get and carry, and we probably could have gotten more if we really tried, but we were getting duplicates and everything else.
Yeah, it was getting pretty hairy.
So, and we sent them all to Rob for his new beer fridge because
I think he could do his house. Like, if he was planning on re-siding, he doesn't need to now.
wallpaper the dining room and stickers. Erica,
Seriously.
if you're listening to this, Rob's got your decorating ideas. We collected stickers for Rob.
That was fun. I felt like a klepto for a while there, but I was literally like giggling and running through the aisles grabbing stickers.
I'd be talking to him, or he'd be talking to me, and he'd quit talking mid-sentence to step over and grab more stickers.
I'd stop mid-sentence and go, sticker. Just like walk over and grab a handful.
He was. It's not an exaggeration.
Okay, it was fun. Maybe it was, well, it wasn't hot that day. It was freezing. It was cold stroke. We'll call it that. I don't know. But I had fun.
It was cold that morning. I don't know what it was, but it was.
With the wind chill, it was negatives.
Yeah.
It hurt.
We were single digits. But yeah, it was cold.
So how about you?
Favorite 3 things of the show. That massive turbo that
Oh, my word, yeah.
that we got a picture of me there next to.
I didn't look up what it was for. My gut feeling is something like a
train or
like
something.
yeah, like a large fixed diesel. That was my thought, was a diesel locomotive, like large, low speed, but needs a ton of air.
Yeah. That thing was big, and the pictures in my mind don't really do it justice from what you can see.
I think the best scale is you're standing a little closer to the camera, so it kind of shrinks it, but you got your hand in a fist touching it.
Yeah.
And your hand looks like a baby's hand.
It does.
That's the best scale on it.
That was neat. I wanted to reach my hand in there and spin the impellers, but no.
That's a heavy impeller. You might have lost a finger.
Yeah. Zip, right goes my fingers.
That was pretty cool.
So that was neat to see. There was a top fuel looking dragster there. It wasn't really a top fuel. It was a lower class one, but it was that all copper coated one.
I posted a picture of that thing. That was really cool.
You put a picture of that one. It was just done really nice, and I like the look of copper and all that. I mean, it's just a different looking metal that you very rarely see people work in.
Yeah, that was nice.
That was really neat. I can't use it as one of mine, but I also thoroughly enjoyed the tool section and the CNCs and the vertical mills and all that stuff and the welding. I really wish that had been bigger.
I really wish somebody would have been giving away a fixture table.
Oh gosh, I want a fixture table like nobody's business, but
I could get some 2x4s and drill big holes in it and then cut off pieces of broomstick.
that'll be the same, right?
It's practically.
Yeah.
We could market those.
Yeah, I don't think anyone will buy them. I won't buy one. You go to weld on that and it catches on fire.
As cold as the barn is, that's a benefit.
Yeah. My third favorite thing, I did enjoy talking to those gentlemen that we did, the guys who did the heads. But that's not really part of the show. I'm going to say my third favorite thing was, and I wish there was more of it also, but there is several seat manufacturers there.
Oh yeah, I
And
hadn't
we
thought
got
about
to go
that.
around, and I got to sit in a bunch of different seats. Now, I wish PRP would have been there, Twisted Stitch, and some more guys in the off-road, but there weren't.
There were a lot of car seats there,
Yeah.
like you said, dirt track and other racing car type of seats.
Not like Mastercraft, they were there, and they had their seats there, and they did have an off-road seat there that we could sit in, and it was nice, but man, that price is steep.
Whoa.
It's like $800 for
Yeah.
the seat that I liked.
Some of the other seats we were looking at were $1,500-$1,600,
Yeah.
and that was without like any of the headrest accessories. Those were another $300-$400.
There was one seat that was it $8,000, but it had air conditioning tubing running through it, and
It was like a NASCAR seat.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, big time.
but it was neat to sit in those because it's like I was talking to one of the seat guys. Seats are like tennis shoes. I mean, it can look like it's going to be a great seat, but until you put your butt in it, you don't know what it's going to be. And I found, and I didn't think it was going to be a problem. I really didn't. But I found I'm wide shouldered, but my shoulders didn't fit well in some of the off-road seats. There was really only a couple that fit well that I would consider, because and it makes me second guess, because I've talked to a guy about buying some PRP seats, and I need to sit in that exact model seat before
Definitely.
I fork down any cash. Now, I sat in one pair of seats that I don't have the thing in front of me, and I can't remember. I'm wanting to say it's like CarCraft or something is the brand. Man, they were cheap, and they were good quality.
And it was
See?
what, like $150?
$150.
And that
for
was
the
one of your
seat.
favorite seats at the place.
It fit well. Now, it was a deep, like, when I say high bolster, I don't mean like high bolster like a car. It's high, solid bolsters that hold you in. It is a race seat. And it holds you in there tight. Now, it was still a little tight on my shoulders, but it was like definitely doable. Some of the others were so tight on my shoulders that like my shoulders wouldn't go all the way back into the seat. So, but no, I really like that one, and I'm kind of debating that. I mean, for a grand total of $300 for a pair of seats, you're gonna pay that plus a little bit just to get a PRP seat.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I mean, my thought is, worst case scenario, I run them for a little while and, see how they feel, and if they aren't all that great, I just sell them or put them in something else. My only beef with them was there's no drain holes like a normal off-road seat. It's like when we splash through creeks or something, you're sitting in a puddle. I mean,
Yeah.
it is what it is. And, racing, you're not there for a whole day. It's just an hour and something. So, you're going to be uncomfortable. Get used to it. But the seat was comfortable. And it was a suspension seat and had the cutouts for the 5-point harness and all that. I mean, it was nice.
Drain holes are just a drill bit away.
Yeah, could be. The only problem is the material's already there. But, whatever. I'm still debating those. I'm really waiting for the holidays to be over with, because normally I get some cash from family members, and, that may buy me some seats.
There you go.
So, yeah, I'm going to use that as my third one. I did enjoy that.
So that was our quick and dirty PRI. You guys have heard us talking about.
The fine.
You want to talk about that? Yes, that does cap it off nicely.
Okay.
I'm going to let you do it.
So there was some major manufacturers there, like we talked about. Holley was there, Edelbrock was there, and we even saw like Dennis Anderson walking around. I saw him a couple times. Some of the guys from the Street Outlaws, the show on Discovery, we saw them. But Vic Edelbrock. At least I'm 99.9% sure it was him. If not, it's a gentleman who looks exactly like him who works at Edelbrock booth.
Yeah.
So he's there at the Edelbrock booth, and there's 3 or 4 of his salesmen around, and there is this toothless wonder who's standing there arguing with them. And, they have all their heads laid out there, their cylinder heads laid out so that people can see them and all this and that. And this guy is clutching onto one of the cylinder heads, like holding on to it for dear life. And he's yelling, "You stole my design!" And he's just going on. And he's arguing with them. And, it was hilarious. And I'm sitting there thinking, I bet they get this all the time.
Oh, constantly. Yeah. I thought of that 20 years before you started doing it. Well, then
Yeah.
you should have started producing them if it was that good of an idea. But
Yeah, I was like, oh man, I bet they hear that at every show.
Yeah.
Some redneck screaming, "You stole my design!" And he's just, it couldn't have been any more perfect when we walked by. I was just like, yep.
yeah, that was PRI. No, PRI was a good experience and sometimes humorous like that. But I'm glad we went. Like I said, it was worthwhile because we did find some suppliers and we're working some things out there. But it was a neat experience. You know, if nothing else, it was a fun day off of work.
Yep. I didn't have to go to work, so I was happy.
So Robert Higbee, the first thing I see there is barbecue.
Yep. Nothing to do with UTVs.
I'm okay with that. Well, eating is how many food posts do you see in UTV forms?
Oh, a ton.
Yeah, so it is very much a part of the thing.
Yeah.
So what are my old eyes here? Wood
Okay,
or
Robert,
pellet?
Wood or pellets? What is your favorite thing to barbecue? He's asking, do you cook with wood or with wood pellets? And what I assume, like, what is your favorite thing as far as meat?
I'm not a big barbecue guy in that sense. I've run if anything, I'm a smoker. And honestly, the electric one's the really easy one to use because it's basically a heating element and you put whatever wood chips you want in there and boom, it's just like a low temp oven. You got your smoke and I've had really, really good success. I mean, your other option's propane, but they do the same thing. It's not like propane gives you some really awesome flavor out of the meat.
Right.
I mean, if I'm just grilling, I'm a charcoal guy. So, but, I'm not like the big 55-gallon drum turned into this giant barbecue grill type of person. So, I mean, I like to throw hickory or apple in with the charcoal sometimes if I'm cooking something that's going to take a little longer and I want some smoke in there with it. But I don't know.
I am not a barbecue. I like to eat barbecue. I will preface with that. I like to eat that. I have never gotten into standing around and barbecuing, though, simply because I don't have time. I volunteer for everything. I mean, right now I'm working a regular job plus Eminent performance stuff plus racing stuff, and I just don't have time. The little bit I have done is kind of like Doug, I've minded a smoker, and I prefer real wood versus pellets. I know pellets are technically real wood, but
Yeah, they're compressed and it is different.
yeah, but I prefer real wood. Something in my brain says I like it better, whatever. And the kind of meat,
Whatever is available. No.
yeah. Ribs and brisket's good.
I got to be honest. If I just want something that's smoked, like literally just bratwurst, that does it for me. Like if you smoke, like slow smoke bratwurst, there is nothing better than that.
Yeah.
You go to the meat market and you get like their apple or their cherry brats where they've, infused it into the meat and all that kind of stuff. And you slow smoke those.
Bacon.
Dude, I could kill myself eating that stuff. Like if I just want if that's the only thing I could ever have again, I guess my meat of choice is a bunch of things packaged into an intestinal tube.
Yay.
But yeah, I'm like, I don't know. I know it sounds sacrilegious. I'm not a big rib guy.
Yeah, I like ribs.
If they're done right, they're okay. But I guess I've had so many bad experiences with people overcooking them and they're just tough and you having to work all that meat off the bone and then they're chewy and I guess I've had a lot of bad ribs, but it's kind of soured me on the whole process.
Yeah. So quick bratwurst story. My mom told my sister to cook bratwurst for the family when she was, I don't know, 16 or 17, whatever. It's been many years ago.
I got a feeling I know where this is
my
going.
My sister is a horrible cook. And so she goes, puts a bratwurst on the grill, and like 4 hours later remembers that she did it. And goes out there, and they're like these little pencil charcoal pieces left on it. They're no longer meat-esque.
I was worried you were going to go the other way. She cooked them like a hot dog, like 10 minutes tops, if that, and like they're raw in the middle. And I mean, like a bratwurst will give you botulism like nobody's business if you don't cook those things.
No, she left those suckers on for like 4 hours, and they became little charcoal bits, and she got to talking on the phone,
Nice.
Whatever. So that was my quick story on bratwurst.
Okay, I'm going to wade into it. the long story short is he's got a GMC. He's happy with it. It's given him a bunch of trouble-free miles and yada, yada, yada. Okay, everybody's got an anecdotal story about how a GM or a Ford or a Dodge has let them down. I've owned Fords that I've been deeply unhappy with. I tend to be a Ford guy. I have no problem with Rams. And honestly, my beef with Chevy has less to do with the engineering and more to do with the corporation itself. And I kind of alluded to this rant last time, and it seems like a good time to go into it. And a lot of you may not agree with me, and that's fine. It's just where I stand on it. I don't mind the fact that they took money from the government during the whole bailout. I just wish they would have handled it differently. Chrysler basically said thank you and went about their business. GM made a purposeful, intentional statement that they had paid everybody back. They actually took out a Super Bowl ad and said, we paid back every penny we borrowed from the government with interest, which is flat out a lie. I'm not going to go into all the research. You can go out there. It's all out there. They basically were forgiven a large portion of the debt, and the part they paid back was with other government TARP funds. And for the president of the company to look dead in the camera and say, we paid you all back, I still, like, I'm literally, my hand is shaking right now. It pisses me off so bad. And I just refuse. I won't have a used one. Even if they're not getting a dime because I bought it used, I will never have another GM product in my driveway, period, under any circumstance. And they've come back really well. And I think they're making much better products. But
yeah, I do too.
I can point to a lot of GM disappointments from the 90s through the 2000s. And they've addressed a lot of that, and good on them. But I just won't do it until they get on and pull out another Super Bowl ad and say, we lied. I'm sorry. Thank you for the money. I'll probably go back to buying GM then. But I can't do it. It sticks in my craw and I won't do it.
I don't have the venomous hate that you have for GM, but yeah, I've owned several of them. I've never really had a problem with any of them. I mean, not any more so than any other vehicle. They're all going to have their problems. But yeah, my reason for not really wanting to own one is kind of the same thing, the way they handled the bailout. So whatever. I mean, I'm glad, Robert, that you like yours, and I'm glad that you've had a lot of trouble-free miles. And
you know, I'll poke fun at you and you'll poke fun at me and we'll have a good time with it. I don't take it all personally. It's just, that's my personal view on it, and that's kind of right, wrong, or indifferent. Sometimes we have stands that probably over 20 years you look back and think maybe it wasn't as big a deal, but I'm still there, and it's been like a decade. So
yep. Okay, we'll move on.
Moving on.
Favorite winch? Do we want to tackle that one? That was a Robert Higbee question. You know, what is our favorite winch?
Actually, history would say our favorite winch is the cheap Harbor Freight ones because they're cheap, and if you break them, who cares? It was cheap.
Yeah.
I mean, we've used I don't say we used a lot of them, but
I very seldom use a winch. I really do. I could count on one hand the number of times I've actually had to use a winch to get myself out. Normally, I normally don't stick it in a spot that I can't get through.
Right.
And
I mean, Warren makes an outstanding product, and there's some other outstanding ones too. I haven't used enough of any of them because, like you, I just haven't been stuck enough. I generally am a little more cautious. I'm not cautious. I just I don't let off the throttle. I'm like, hell or high water, I'm getting through. I think you are more than you think you are, because you are. I've raced with you enough. You're constantly looking for, that's a bad spot to be in. I'm not going to do that. You're not just, I'll bury myself and winch myself out. Yes.
But I'm willing to take a risk.
Yeah. But you're not one of these guys that just says, I'm just going to bury it and I'll use the winch to get out if I need to.
No, I don't do that.
So I guess that was more my point in the cautious sense. But
I agree.
So I haven't used enough. But I mean, it's hard to argue with the legacy that Warren has. And I see people out there that have winches that are 30 years old. They're still using them, and Warren's still supplying parts for them.
Yeah.
I mean, from everyone I've ever talked to, their customer support is second to none. And that means a lot to me. So I can't personally say that this one's better because I've used and abused it for 20 years. But, you know, if I was looking to have a winch on a vehicle that I thought was going to hold up, I'm going into the Sahara Desert and I need something, that would probably be my pick.
I agree. Warren makes a quality product. And it seems like all the machines I've ever gotten have already had winches, and they've always been cheap winches.
They've always been, some Chinese knockoff of
and
something.
I've always said, when that winch breaks, I'm going to go get a Warren or something like that. And they've just never broken. I mean, honestly, I don't use them that much.
And you never own anything long enough to break
No,
it.
I generally don't. The one on the CF Moto, as soon as I got it, and I was kind of cleaning up the cable because it was kind of bird nested in there. Man, the thing is noisy as all get out. It doesn't sound like a good quality winch. I mean, it sounds like things are just going to stop working at any moment.
No, it does sound like at the factory as they were sealing up the gear case, they're like, hold on, and they put a handful of sand in and then sealed it up.
Yeah. It just, and maybe that means I should replace it before it's a problem. But like I said, I hardly use it, so it's tough for me to justify spending $300 or $400 on a good quality winch that I might use once in the next 2 years. And yeah, whatever. So I'm with Doug. I just don't use them that often.
Yeah. And like I said, I think you'd be hard pressed to find one that's better than ostensibly better. Like demonstrably, this is just a better product than what Warren makes. I mean, again, I think it kind of comes down to Ford, Chevy, Ram.
Yeah.
There's some good brands out there. And just get the one that trips your trigger. But like I said, if it was me, it's a recognizable brand, and I know the customer service is top notch, and that means more to me than maybe this other one's slightly better made. But if they're going to hassle me if something goes wrong, I'm not interested.
Yeah. So that's our opinions on winch. So
Well, this is not UTV. Electric motorcycles.
Yep, electric motorcycles. This was me, not Robert Higbee. So a new company they're from Russia. And Nikolay actually,
Okay.
Roden.
Yeah.
He posted something on this, and they're actually looking for investors. Not that I'm thinking about doing it because I'm not really a dirt bike guy, but it's an electric motorcycle that's made to compete with like the Zero, and it's also made to compete with the KTM that they have out. So
we're talking dirt bikes, not street
Yeah.
bikes.
Well, they make a street bike variant, but it looks very much like a dirt bike.
So like a supermoto type of thing?
Yeah, I mean, I yes.
Okay.
So this new one is called the Deller is what it is, and man, it looks solid. They're talking like a 200-kilometer range with it.
How much does it weigh? Like how much are we talking versus a normal?
It's lighter.
Really?
It is.
Because that was my concern. Is this thing a big heavy pig? Because
Right.
that tends
Normally batteries are the weight problem.
Yeah.
But no, it's actually lighter than a standard dirt bike of that size. They say it produces more power and everything else, and it looks like it does from what I've seen.
Especially if you're coming from the two-stroke crowd where you have to reach for torque. This thing has it all down at 0 RPM.
Right.
So that's going to be a totally different ride.
It is. There's no transmission in it, and I think that's why they save some weight. There's no transmission. It's all off the motor.
Oh, okay.
So there's no shifting.
Yeah, because you're not really reaching for a super high top speed where you need to have a CVT or something to gear it differently.
Right. I guess the reason I put this one in as a topic for tonight, I really wanted to... It's kind of like that... what was that? It's not Tesla. The Nikolay Zero UTV that we talked about several episodes back. It's more along the lines of something like that. Now, I think this newest one, the Deller, it seems like it's much more feasible because the range is there. The KTM, its range is like nearly nothing, like 50 kilometers maybe.
Ooh, yeah.
The Zero that's out there, it's more street-oriented, not really a dirt bike. And I don't believe they even have a dirt variant. So not apples to apples. I'm not saying either one's better than the other, but it also is about it's like 170 kilometer range. So it's up there. But I'm just thinking, so what is this going to be like for the race community? Because that's what we're kind of involved in. Where do you class something like that?
That is an interesting question. I think you basically have to look at horsepower to weight at that point.
But that's not a rating that any race series is using.
No, but they are doing it by displacement and to a point. I mean, because okay, you've got dirt bike day and you've got your AM class. Your bigger machines are all up in the front row. Your 450 Yamahas, that kind of stuff.
Right.
And then row B is your lights, your 250s, and
Right.
down, that kind of stuff. And then you go back from there. So a lot of it is based on the quality of the rider, quote unquote.
Yep.
And if you know you're a slower rider, you just put yourself in a in the back of the class type of thing. It doesn't matter what kind of bike you got. The skill matters more than the machine for the most part.
I agree with that.
But if you are saying, look, I am one of the faster riders out here, I want to put this electric bike, but I want to run it in the light class, I think you have to force them into the front row with the bigger machines.
I guess my point was more this. So we'll talk about the front row of bikes, the pro riders that are, the really good riders, and it really comes down to a lot of their machines are built really similar right now.
Yeah.
They may be different models and everything else, but they're all using premium parts and they're all putting about the same horsepower down, and it really comes down to the rider. So let's say you take rider A, who is equally as skilled as rider B, but rider A now wants to switch over to this electric bike. How much? Let's pretend it's an
I see what you're
advantage.
saying. Yeah,
Let's pretend
ostensibly
it's
it's better because of some quality it has, the low end torque or whatever. But they're just finding themselves all of a sudden they were consistently in the top 5, but now they're consistently first.
Right, and we'll say doing it by leaps and bounds above everybody else.
Yeah,
I'm just saying, how do you combat this as, we'll say, a race series owner or whatever? Because if you're a gas bike, you're already using the premium parts available. There's nowhere to go up from there. So how do you class this as a race series owner?
I don't know that you can allow it. I mean, I think at that point, you probably just can't allow it in the series. Just there are certain things that are outlawed in these race series in different classes anyways.
Or you create a whole new class.
But now you've got to have enough of them. And
well, yes and no. I mean, we look at the utility quads, and sometimes there's one that takes off on the row or two.
yeah, that's true. I mean, yeah, I guess you could make your own class and put them in there. And then, like you said, you might be racing by yourself. But I guess then that comes down to you. If you're really looking to be competitive, you're not going to want to just be by yourself the whole time.
Well, but they're still out there on the track at the same time racing the other guys. And let's say they make an all-electric bike class. We'll go that route. And we'll say they start on third row. If that electric bike is out there running and he's passing the row 1 guys, he doesn't, I mean, you're going to care that you're not placing, but he's getting in those first row guys' head, and he's beating them.
Yeah, and if you're consistently taking overalls away from pros, like let's say the bike's that much better, or or if it's the AM race and it's just the top amateurs, in the AM race, if you're consistently taking away overalls, yeah, I don't know. It's kind of a sticky question.
So here's the kicker on this Deller bike. Guess the price.
I don't even know what normal dirt bikes are like in this, 7,000 to 8,000 range, like stock before you modify them. Usually electric, you take a hit on price. So I'm going to say like 10.
6,000.
So they're doing it for the
Less.
same to less. Really? And it weighs less.
I
kind of want one.
No, they're not released yet. They're coming out in 2018. But
like seriously, I want to get one, slap some 17-inch rims on it, and just ride it as a supermoto. Like that thing would be a hoot.
So that's why I'm saying this. At this point, I think we're on the cusp of electric off-road vehicles. I do not think the UTV is a feasible one yet that we talked about.
Not with the weight.
No. But I think dirt bikes and the technology is catching up to the point where they're becoming a feasible thing. So something is going to have to be done race-wise and everything else, because if I go out and I'm looking for a new bike and I see this electric one and I ride it and I figure out that it's faster than the other ones, we'll just say, I don't know if they really are, but I saw some guys riding them and they were faster. Now, how much that was rider, I don't know, but whatever. Let's say they're faster, and I buy an electric one, and I've been a long time racer and I've raced in your series. Are you going to turn away as people start buying? Let's say half the guys who raced all of a sudden start going over the next 5 years to electric bikes. Are you going to turn away? racers?
Maybe up front until you can have a class that makes sense. Maybe up front you just put them in a non-compete. You can run it, but I don't know. There's so many tentacles to that.
I know.
You just have to see. You'd almost have to evaluate how they perform for a season. But like I said, if you're starting row 3 and you start taking consistent overalls away from pros,
Yeah.
because you're not good enough to be in the pro row riding wise, but your machine's that much better and it's making that kind of difference, it's not going to fly. You're going to have pros leaving your series.
Oh, I'm not arguing that, but I'm saying it's not something that can be ignored.
No.
If this is, because this is reality we're going to hit at some point.
Yeah.
It's not something that can be ignored anymore. So that's why
It's
I
an
brought
interesting
it up
question. Yeah.
for discussion purposes only.
There's answers, none of them ideal.
Right. So anyway, if you guys want to go look up Deller, Deller, it's a Russian company who's going to be coming out with an electric bike. Zero was the other one, and obviously KTM has theirs.
Man, we got like all serious for like a half hour there.
I know.
Wow.
Look at that.
Who'd have thought?
Quick, let's move on to something less serious.
I was going to say, we got about 10 minutes or so before we really start boring people and they drop out of here. So you get to pick what we do.
Let's do random trivia with Doug. I almost made him spit his water, I think.
I lost my cap and realized it doesn't matter. I'm not going to be shaking the bottle around.
I hope not, because I don't want water all over my house.
Okay, is this real trivia this time, or are you going to lie to me again?
I didn't lie. The internet lied.
Is it all animal-based?
No.
Okay.
There's I laugh though because there is a animal one in here, but
I'm okay with some, but I never claimed to be a animal scientist. I don't know what the word for that is.
vet,
Animalogist?
animalogist. Let's make up words. It'll make it sound smarter.
There we go.
All right, you ready?
Let's do it.
Okay. What do the initials IRC stand for in regard with computing? IRC.
IRC?
Uh-huh.
Wow, I do this for a living. I feel like I should know, but I don't recognize the acronym.
It's not really in your field, per se.
Oh, okay.
So, don't feel bad. It's just, it's not.
International Race of Computers.
No. Internet Relay Chat.
Oh, I was thinking hardware.
Yeah.
I use IRC every day. I was thinking hardware. I'd how you get down one path and you refuse to look at the other path.
That's what I was trying to it's not in your field.
Yeah,
so.
I literally was on IRC today. Yes, it is Internet Relay Chat.
Okay.
Wow. Okay, be more open-minded.
Yeah.
Got it.
Here's your animal one. What? And some are easy, some are hard. Going back to same preface.
Okay.
What bird is the international symbol of happiness?
I didn't even know there was an international symbol of happiness.
There's a song about this, just so you know. It's an old song from the 50s, 60s, something like that.
Yeah. I don't know. Flamingos.
The bluebird.
The bluebird of happiness.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
See?
I'm not happy enough to know that.
I guess not. Dang. You're not. I thought you were going to get that one. I thought you would get IRC also.
I'm really disappointed. My brain is legitimately fried tonight. I'm probably going to bomb all of these. I'll be lucky if I can drive home.
Bounce from ditch to ditch. Okay. How many dust mites can fit on a gram of dust?
Billions.
500. That's it.
That's it?
That's it. 500
Disappointingly small. I guess they're bigger than I thought.
An ounce of dust can actually hold 13,500.
That's disgusting.
Who is the patron saint of tax collectors?
Don't know. Not Catholic.
Neither am I. St. Matthew.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense, but
Yeah. Yeah, whatever.
that's not really what you want to be known for, though.
I
think.
wouldn't. Okay.
They got a patron saint for everything.
Vestiophobia is a fear of what?
I think it's like clothing or something like that.
It is.
Yeah.
Clothes. Good. I didn't figure
There we
you'd get
go.
that one.
I'm going to get all the weird ones.
What is Colombia's chief export?
Cocaine.
Yes, it is. I saw that one. I'm like, that's going in.
Wow. That's really disappointing. But true. There you go.
Making money.
Yeah.
What was the horsepower of the 4-cylinder engine in the flyer plane that was piloted by Orville Wright on the historic flight of December 17th, 1903?
I don't know why, but 11 sticks in my head.
12. You were very
Very
close.
close.
Very close. I'll give you-
11.2.
Yes, I'll give you half an internet point for that.
Good enough.
What are the total number of spots on a dice?
I could probably just like count this in my head real quick.
You could, but
Off the top of my head, I will tell you I don't know.
okay. 21.
Okay. I was going to say, I could do the math, but that wasn't the point. It should be like dimples on a golf ball.
Yeah.
178 or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. What was the distress call before SOS?
I do know that. I can't remember it. I know I knew it at one point. It's driving me nuts. What is it?
CQD.
Yes.
And that stood for Come Quick Danger.
No.
That's what they say. I don't know.
That's another no.
Is it?
I do know it's CQD. Like as soon as you said it, CQ is a generic call. Like I'm looking for somebody to talk to. D was distress.
Oh, okay.
So it was CQ distress.
Anyone,
basically.
please help me, distress.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, good enough. I'm not saying that part was right, but I knew the CQD was right. So
Yeah, they changed the SOS again because it was easier to hear, but
yeah.
yeah.
Okay, last one. In Nevada, it is illegal to drive what on the highway?
Okay, is it a motorized vehicle?
Not necessarily. I'll say no. I'll give you that.
Okay. Bar stool.
Nope. A camel.
Okay. Do they have like a big problem with that in Nevada that I'm
don't
aware
know.
of? I've never seen a camel while I was there other than a pack of discarded cigarettes.
Nope. Not me either, but I've never been out there, and apparently it's a big enough problem they had to make a law.
I learned a lot tonight.
Yes.
Wow. I really did pretty poorly, but I'm legitimately right now, I'm slap happy. I'm like struggling to keep my eyes open. So my brain totally gone.
Yeah. Well, let's see. One more thing, and
okay.
then we'll wrap it up. Tell you what, I'll take it easy on you and let you sit back and laugh at stupidity.
That'll work.
We didn't do a stupid things with Chad last time.
It has been a little while.
Yeah. So we'll do a stupid things with Chad, and I'm seeing 2 that are on the list there. There's some more down below, but I'll let you pick Chad's first day at IU or IU frog counting professor.
Frog counting professor.
Okay. So this happened actually when I was not an employee at IU, at Indiana University, and I was living here at my current house. And behind my house, I have a creek that runs down through my property, and it ends up draining into my pond or lake or whatever you want to call it out back. So we have frogs, as you can well imagine. It's Indiana in the summer, wet areas. We got frogs, billions of them little suckers. So this is more about my brother than it is about me. But so I saw a car sitting kind of down the road when I was getting ready to go to bed, sitting on the side of the road, and they had their flashers on. Well, I don't really think anything of it. We're out here in the country. I figure a car just broke down. If they need help, they'll walk to my front door and ring the doorbell. Other than that, use your cell phone. They're on their own. Whatever. Yeah. So my brother is not that kind of person. He's like, what are they doing? And they're on my property even. So it gets to be, I don't know, it's 1 or 2 in the morning, he says. And my brother's telling me this story because it was him that was involved in the rest of it. So it gets to be 1 or 2 in the morning, and he sees the car out there. And he's like trying to figure out what this car is doing sitting on the side of the road.
Sure.
So instead of a normal person would like walk down the road or walk up to it, now he's going to sneak up on him through the woods.
This does sound like Josh.
Yeah. He's going to sneak up and see if he can see what they're doing with the car there and all that. And I live in the sticks. Pretty much y'all know, but plan on anybody who's out here, they probably have a gun. I mean,
It's a fair assumption.
so
Yeah.
So he comes with a shotgun, is what he had.
Oh, Lord.
And so he's sneaking up through the woods, and there's two people like rummaging around in the ditch there where the creek comes under the road. And he can't figure out for the life of him what they're doing. They're just like, he can hear them splashing because, it's middle of the night in the summer, and they're splashing around in this creek, and their cars parked up above them on the kind of the side of the road / on my property with their hazards going. So instead of him like hollering, hey, what are you doing on my property? We all kind of call, even if it's my property, my brother calls it his, whatever. I don't care. And instead of, a normal person does that, he alerts them to his presence by the racking of a 12 gauge.
The Morgan County hello.
Yeah, it's the official Morgan County doorbell.
Yeah, exactly.
So he racks that shotgun, and nothing will get you to straighten up quicker in the middle of the night than the sound of a 12 gauge.
It's definitely unmistakable.
Yeah. So they instantly, it's two people, they stand up straight, and they start looking around, and at this point, he's got a bead drawn on him, and he's, not sure what they're going to do. And he asked what they're doing on the property. Well, apparently this is a IU professor who thought it was a good idea to go drive around in the middle of the night and count frogs.
Why?
Some sort
Is he a research project, or is he
Yes.
just insane?
Both.
Okay.
So him and I don't know if it's a student or someone who worked for him or whatever, they're driving around in the middle of the country, and every time like they would see a body of water of some kind, they would stop, and they wanted to count the frog population, and they were measuring frogs and doing whatever scientists do with frogs. And
I'm a curious person. I want to know stuff, but there is a point where data's just data. Like, it doesn't have any point anymore.
I agree.
This feels like one of those instances.
I fully agree. So my brother then informs them in the not so kind way that they are looking to get shot the quickest way possible by wandering onto someone's property in the middle of the night.
Oh, that's kind.
To count frogs. And this professor was like thoroughly flabbergasted, not understanding why he would not be allowed to. And he didn't ask anybody. This professor didn't. He just walks onto people's property to count frogs.
That is honestly a good way to get hurt out here. Like,
Oh, yeah.
Not everybody's friendly,
No.
unfortunately.
No. I mean,
There are people that live in the country because they don't like people.
I'm one of them people. I mean, I don't like people. I just don't want to deal with people.
So nice to be sitting here with you.
Welcome to my home. I didn't pull a gun on you. That obviously means you're welcome.
You thought about it.
Yeah, no. But no, this professor was thoroughly flabbergasted that someone would be upset that he was out on their property in the middle of the night without talking to anyone to count frogs.
This feels like a city folk versus country folk
It
type
really
of
is.
thing. Because in the city, everybody's all over everything. Like, people just walk in the alley by your house and look in your window. I mean, it's
Yeah.
not uncommon to have people right there.
Right. No, not that way here.
No.
Like, I literally do know people that I know, and they know me and everything else. You don't go to their house without calling first.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm driving by their house and I happen to be in their area, either you call first or you will have a gun in your face when you get to the door. And I'm not kidding at all.
Have you seen Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
Yeah.
When they go up to his cousin Wash's house and his boy's out there with the gun.
Oh, yes.
And he's like, blam, hold it right there. Like, their first thing is the gunshot that ricochets by
Yeah.
their feet.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
I know a few people like that, and I'm very much not kidding that you don't go to their house without calling. And
Well, I would like to cap the story by saying no frog counting professors were actually killed
No.
during
they
the
were
course
escorted back to their car by Mr. Smith and Wesson, and yeah, they were told to leave and do not return.
Yeah, that's just a bad idea.
Yeah, so you don't do that kind of stuff in the country.
Speaking of bad ideas, we're going to cap this podcast because
Yeah.
We'll put a cap on episode 12 of Bad Ideas.
Yep.
We do want to say thank you once again, though, to our sponsors. Of course, Watch Communications, thank you so much for hosting this podcast and for hosting our website. Once again, if you are out in the sticks like us and Comcast has passed you by, Watch Communications may be able to hook you up if you are in the Ohio and Indiana area primarily, but they also have some presence in Illinois and Wisconsin, I believe. So check them out. Their link is on our website. Also want to say thank you to Colby Valve, TGM Off-Road, and UTV-doors.com. You can find us on the internet at www.eminentperformance.com. You can find us on Facebook /Eminent Racing and on Instagram at Eminent Racing. Plenty of ways to get a hold of us. If you have any comments or concerns or questions or clarifications on shotgun wielding brothers, anything like that, feel free to get a hold of us. And please do leave comments, whether you're listening on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, YouTube, iHeartRadio. Those are all venues where you can find the podcast, and all of them have a way where you can leave comments. We definitely appreciate the feedback. We want to keep doing this, and we want to make it better. So the only way to make it better is to get feedback from you guys and try and refine the process. But we've enjoyed doing this. We're going to keep going. And I was looking at the calendar while you were telling the story. I wanted to see, I knew Christmas was a Monday, but for, again, brain fart, I'm really shutting down. So we've got time to do one before Christmas and after, because it falls like right in the middle. It's not like Christmas is a Thursday and we're not going to get to it. So
All right.
we'll keep rolling, and we'll have some post-Christmas fun. Actually, the next one's going to drop right before Christmas.
Yep.
And we're going to have a segment on basically gift ideas for the UTV/ATV rider in your life. So if you haven't done your shopping yet and you need a last minute idea, maybe you'll get something useful from the next webcast.
Yeah. And being a UTV and ATV rider, I will say, even if it doesn't make it in time and you didn't get them something, order it and they'll be happy enough that it'll come a few days after Christmas. Good enough.
So if that doesn't make you want to come back for lucky episode 13, I don't know what will.
Yeah. Episode 13. Let's hope it's not so unlucky for us.
All right, everybody. Thanks for riding along with us.
Thanks, guys.
I'm tired of going down, I'm tired of myself, I'm tired of this town.
D-Lick.